You've been told that emotions are problems to solve, that fear is weakness, that sadness is failure, that anger is dangerous. But none of that is true. Every emotion is energy in motion. It is not trying to hurt you, it's trying to move through you. The body doesn't feel wrong, it feels unfinished. When you feel an emotion, your nervous system activates a biological sequence that lasts no more than 90 seconds. That's it. In those 90 seconds, chemicals surge, the amygdala fires, your heart rate changes, breath tightens, and the body prepares to release. If you allow it, the wave rises, peaks, and falls naturally. But if you interfere, if you think about it, label it, or resist it, the energy freezes, and what was meant to last 90 seconds begins to last days, months, years, even lifetimes. Every emotion you've ever carried was simply one you didn't let complete. Fear left half exhaled. Anger stopped mid-breath. Grief never given space to finish its final rhythm. The nervous system is not broken. It's waiting. Waiting for you to stop controlling and start allowing. Emotion ends where awareness begins. You don't need to fight what you feel. You need to witness it. Awareness is not a thought. It's a frequency. When you watch the emotion without analysis, your brain stops adding data. Cortisol fades. The amygdala quiets. Coherence begins. This is the secret of emotional alchemy. When awareness meets sensation without resistance, energy transforms form. Fear becomes clarity. Anger becomes focus. Sadness becomes softness. Love becomes expansion. Each frequency completes its 90-second dance and integrates into higher coherence. Emotion is not the storm. It's the wind remembering its direction. Now breathe. 4 in, 4 hold, 8 out. The 4-4-8 pattern is the reset code of the nervous system. Inhale. Tell the body you are safe. Hold. Tell the mind you are still. Exhale. Tell the past it's over. Do it 3 times and watch what happens. The moment you breathe consciously, your biology updates. You exit survival. You re-enter creation. Emotion no longer floods you. It flows through you. What was reaction becomes rhythm. What was chaos becomes current. This is coherence, the synchronization of energy and awareness. You are not your emotions. You are the space they move through. When you understand this, you realize control was never power. Surrender was. Not submission, but alignment. The ability to feel everything without being defined by it. The one who allows, commands. The one who resists, obeys. And that's how you change your emotional state in 90 seconds, not by forcing a new one, but by finishing the one you already began. Because emotion doesn't end when it leaves your body. It ends when you stop running from it. Every wave you resist repeats. Every wave you ride returns you home. Let's go deeper into the invisible circuitry where emotion becomes energy and energy becomes identity. Most people believe emotions are psychological, but emotion begins in the body, long before thought interprets it. Your amygdala detects a signal. The hypothalamus releases neurochemicals, and in less than half a second, your entire physiology prepares to respond. Only after that instant does the mind arrive, late, confused, and eager to explain what already happened. The story is born, not from reality, but from delay. The emotion happens first, the story comes later. Every time you replay a painful memory, you are not recalling the past. You are refiring the same circuit. The amygdala cannot distinguish imagination from experience. It reacts identically. That's why a single thought can restart a full emotional storm. The body obeys perception more than truth. Emotion is not trapped because it is strong. It is trapped because it is repeated. Each repetition reinforces the loop. Cortisol signals vigilance. The nervous system tightens, breath shallows, and the loop becomes self-sustaining. You think you're feeling again, but what's really happening is an echo, a feedback pattern between thought and body, a loop with no beginning, no end, until awareness cuts the current. Every emotion continues until it's witnessed. The reason the 90-second window exists is biological mercy. The body was never meant to suffer longer than that. It releases the chemistry, waits for you to notice, and if you don't, it replays the cycle, hoping you will. Your nervous system is not punishing you, it's asking for completion. So the real transformation begins not with thinking differently, but with breathing differently. Because breath is voltage. It's the only lever that moves both worlds, the automatic and the conscious. When breath slows, vagal tone increases, cortisol drops, and the electrical pattern of fear collapses. In that moment, energy reorganizes. Breath is how the soul edits biology. Do this now. Inhale for 4, feel expansion. Hold for 4, feel stillness. Exhale for 8, feel release. Don't visualize, don't label, just witness. The body will complete what the mind interrupted. You may tremble, sigh, or feel warmth spreading. That's stored charge discharging. It's not mystical, it's physics. After 90 seconds, you'll notice silence where tension used to be. That silence is not emptiness, it's coherence. It's your nervous system remembering its original rhythm. And once you feel it, you'll understand why control was always an illusion. The body never needed domination. It needed permission. When you stop managing emotions, they start transforming you. This is emotional alchemy in its purest form. Sensation, right-pointing arrow observation, right-pointing arrow integration. Each time you allow the cycle to complete, the loop weakens, the charge dissolves, and what once triggered you becomes neutral data. You stop being the subject of your emotions and become the observer of your transformation. Emotion does not exist inside time. Time exists inside emotion. Every frequency you emit bends the field around you, shaping what you call reality. When you stay in an emotion too long, you create a feedback loop between your body's electromagnetic field and the quantum field around it. That loop stabilizes into probability, a timeline. You don't remember your past, you re-enter it. Each emotion is a coordinate, a frequency code that tells the universe where to find you. Fear places you in futures that match fear. Gratitude aligns you with futures that mirror expansion. The moment you feel differently, you shift location in the quantum map of possibility. It's not metaphor, it's mechanics. Scientists call it coherence, when your heart's rhythm, brainwaves, and magnetic field align into harmony. In this state, information flows freely between consciousness and the quantum field. Incoherence, on the other hand, creates static. Fear, resentment, shame. They distort signal strength, scattering your manifestation power into noise. The universe cannot mirror what you haven't stabilized. The field doesn't respond to words, it responds to frequency. That's why emotional regulation isn't suppression, it's calibration. You are tuning your transmitter, not denying your humanity. When you feel something intensely, you are sending a broadcast to creation. If you cut it off halfway, you send distortion. But if you let it finish, the wave collapses cleanly, the energy reintegrates, and the field updates your coordinates. Each 90-second completion resets your entire hologram. You are literally exiting one probability stream and entering another. People sense it around you. Conversations shift. Coincidences align. Resistance fades. They'll call it luck, but it's frequency precision. You've stopped feeding the loops that kept you in recycled versions of yourself. Emotion is the language of the quantum field. When you master that language, life stops being random. You no longer chase outcomes, you tune them. Each breath becomes a command. Each feeling becomes data. Each release becomes an update to your timeline. You start realizing the truth that every mystic and scientist in their own language has tried to express. Emotion is the interface between matter and consciousness. And so the 90-second rule is not about calming down. It's about collapsing timelines. It's the doorway between dimensions of self. You're not fixing emotion. You're reclaiming authorship over the quantum field that mirrors it. When you allow the wave to end, you end the identity tied to it. What remains is presence, the pure observer, free from the momentum of memory. When the wave ends, the self dissolves. Identity is built from emotion that never finished. Every version of you that you've ever been was constructed from incomplete energy. Each memory, belief, and self-image is a crystallized emotion, frozen mid-flow. When you hold grief, you become the one who lost. When you hold anger, you become the one who was wronged. When you hold fear, you become the one who hides. And every time the feeling resurfaces, it's not returning to punish you, it's returning to complete the movement you once interrupted. The self is just memory pretending to last. When you finally let emotion finish, identity begins to unravel. You feel like you're dying, but what's dying is the mask, the program that said, "I am this way because of what happened." As energy dissolves, the narrative loses gravity. You no longer need to defend the old story. You no longer seek validation for the pain. You start breathing in real time again. This is emotional transmutation. Energy that once defined you now fuels you. The grief that made you heavy becomes depth. The anger that consumed you becomes focus. The fear that froze you becomes precision. You don't heal emotion, you recycle it into higher coherence. Energy never disappears, it only changes purpose. Most people never reach this point because identity feels safer than freedom. The nervous system clings to the known, even if the known hurts. Pain feels like proof of existence. But freedom has no reference. It's vast, it's quiet. The mind calls it emptiness, but the soul calls it origin. When you step beyond identity, your perception shifts from "I feel something" to "I am aware of something moving through me." That awareness doesn't analyze or justify, it simply allows. The moment you reach that neutrality, emotion completes, memory dissolves, and the body resets. This is why spiritual awakening often feels like losing yourself. Because you are. You're losing the artificial self that was built from unresolved motion. The end of the story is the beginning of power. And once the story ends, you notice something extraordinary. The body stops reacting to old triggers. Words that used to sting now pass through you like wind through light. Situations that once collapsed you now leave you untouched. It's not apathy, it's coherence. The signal of awareness is stronger than the echo of history. In that space, emotion becomes artistry. You can feel anything without distortion. Joy doesn't inflate ego. Sadness doesn't reduce it. Everything just moves. And when everything moves, nothing sticks. Not pain, not pride, not past. You become the conductor of frequency, not its prisoner. Your nervous system is not your enemy. It is your most loyal student. Whatever you repeat, it learns. Whatever you allow, it remembers. For years, it's been trained by repetition of resistance, the constant practice of holding emotion, of tightening the breath, of calling that tension normal. But the moment you start completing the 90-second cycles, your entire physiology begins to update its definition of safety. You reprogram your body by what you permit, not what you force. Each time you allow an emotion to finish its natural arc, you send new data through the vagus nerve. I am safe now. The body, which once operated on a signal of vigilance, begins to trust stillness. The chemistry changes, cortisol fades, oxytocin rises, heart rate variability improves, and electrical coherence stabilizes across brain and heart. You can measure enlightenment in hertz. Repetition turns awareness into instinct. After a few weeks, the nervous system no longer panics when emotion rises. It recognizes the pattern and moves through it automatically. The waves that once flooded you now pass like weather. You feel everything but suffer nothing. The nervous system is the subconscious in motion. What you call personality is simply your body's pattern of response. Change the response, and the personality rewrites itself. That's why true transformation doesn't come from affirmations or mantras. It comes from embodied repetition. The nervous system doesn't listen to words. It listens to breath, posture, and rhythm. You don't think your way into peace. You breathe your way into it. The more you practice completion, the more your baseline state rises. Calm becomes default. Clarity becomes automatic. You'll notice that things which once drained you no longer register. That's because your nervous system stops mistaking emotional charge for danger. It starts interpreting it as information, data to move, not threats to survive. When the body trusts awareness, emotion becomes art. And this is how coherence is born, not from meditation retreats or external control, but from biological retraining through awareness. Each cycle you finish is a neural reset. Each breath you guide is a code of permission. The body doesn't want transcendence, it wants truth, and truth feels like rhythm, not fight or flight, but flow. After enough cycles, your system learns the new pattern so deeply that even when storms come, the body doesn't flinch. Emotion arrives, rises, releases, and vanishes. You remain still, not detached, but deeply connected. You've turned sensation into language, and the language speaks peace. To live from emotional coherence is to exist without delay, to experience life as it happens, not as memory describes it. Most people don't live, they replay. They walk through each day reacting to stored emotions instead of real events, recycling old frequencies through new faces. But when coherence becomes your baseline, life stops looping. You meet each moment as it is, unfiltered, unchained. You stop thinking about life and start feeling it as light. In coherence, emotion becomes guidance, not noise. You don't suppress anger, you read it as a signal of misalignment. You don't run from sadness. You recognize it as the body's way of softening what's rigid. You don't chase joy, you expand into it. Each feeling is a message, not a mistake. When received, it passes. When resisted, it repeats. You begin to notice that peace is not an absence of emotion. It's the mastery of movement. It's not that storms stop coming, but that you become transparent to them. They move through you without leaving residue. You no longer fear emotion because emotion no longer means loss of control. It means communication, energy returning to flow. Peace isn't stillness. It's perfect motion without friction. As coherence deepens, the illusion of separation fades. You feel yourself as a field, not a form. The border between me and life dissolves. Every interaction becomes energetic dialogue, the universe speaking in frequency, and you finally fluent enough to understand. From here, decisions no longer come from fear or logic, but resonance. You feel the truth before thought interprets it. The body vibrates yes or no. The mind follows. This is intuition, stripped of mysticism and restored as natural intelligence. Awareness and biology merge, the soul and the nervous system breathing in sync. When awareness and biology move as one, destiny becomes optional. This is where emotional mastery transcends self-help and becomes evolution. You're no longer repairing the human, you're reprogramming the species. Because every coherent field you maintain adds stability to the collective. You become an emitter of peace in a world addicted to reaction. You radiate stillness that reorders chaos without saying a word. And this is the quiet revolution. Not to escape emotion, but to remember its purpose. It was never punishment. It was communication. Every tear, every tremor, every pulse of the heart was life itself trying to speak to you. Once you learned to listen, the language changed. It became music. At the end of all emotion, there is silence. Not the silence of emptiness, the silence of completion. It's the space left when energy has moved fully, when the body no longer trembles, when thought no longer interprets, when awareness finally sits at the center of itself. This is coherence, not as an idea, but as a lived vibration. You were never meant to manage emotion. You were meant to become motion itself. In this silence, you begin to see how every emotion was a teacher, disguised as turbulence. Fear taught you presence. Anger taught you boundaries. Grief taught you depth. Love taught you expansion. Each one pulled you closer to remembering that emotion was never your weakness. It was your map back home. The 90-second law isn't a trick or a hack. It's the ancient rhythm of life rediscovered in biology. It's the proof that consciousness and chemistry are one movement, the inhale and exhale of creation itself. When you live this way, you stop asking, "How do I change my emotions?" and start asking, "What is this energy trying to become?" You stop clinging to happiness as a goal, because peace becomes your foundation. And from that peace, every emotion becomes art. An expression of life moving through you, painting your field in color, then dissolving back into light. Motion is the art of existence, remembering itself. Now breathe once more. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 8. Feel the stillness behind the motion, the observer behind the story. That is you, the awareness that no longer needs to escape its creation, the witness that remembers the perfection even in chaos, the consciousness that is finally free to feel without fear. When the next wave comes, don't resist it and don't name it. Just watch it rise, breathe through its curve, and let it go. In 90 seconds, the wave will end. And in that ending, something new will begin. The system resets, the timeline shifts, the field updates, and you remember. You are not healing, you are remembering wholeness. And that is how you change your emotional state in 90 seconds. not by escaping emotion, but by becoming so aware that no emotion can hold you. You are not the storm. You are the consciousness that moves the sky. In transmission.